Well, with us now are the advertising executive Ian Henderson and the branding consultant Jonathan Gabay. Supposing we do go to a situation where cigarettes are sold in plain packets, what is that going to do to branding? Because there won't be any branding on the packet.
Oh, I disagree. I totally disagree, because there's still going to be the name of the brand. There's got to be the name. You've got to say, I want one brand or I want another brand. And so it goes down to the core truth of what the brand is about, which is the name.
And it moves the point of decision away from the point of sale.
Absolutely.
But it has to be somewhere else, because you're still going to make the decision to go into a shop to buy a packet of cigarettes. The decision as to what you buy will be made somewhere else. And that's what advertisers will try and influence.
Absolutely. And so where are they going to influence it? They're going to influence the peer groups who actually influence the people to actually smoke.
So how do you do that?
How do you do that? Over to you.
Social media.
Yep.
If you start incentivizing people to talk to each other about a particular brand through Twitter feeds, through Facebook, then that is a much more powerful form of advertising.
By incentivizing, if you pay them?
Conceivably. Well, we don't know what the rules are yet, so we don't know whether that would be legal.
Exactly.
But
Sure. But so you get them then talking to one another saying, I'm just relaxing with a Benson and Hedges or whatever.
Conceivably, who knows? But it's taking the point of decision away from the point of sale, so that when you go into the shop, it's kind of a done deal. But what that will do is actually freeze the market, and it'll stop people making choices and decisions when they're actually buying.
But it's still amazing, isn't it? Because really, there's nothing much to tell between one cigarette and another. It's between a Gitan and a silk cut or something. But by and large, most of them are in the same area.
No, well, this is where I believe it's actually going to be good for the brand, because what's going to happen, it's going to go back to the product. It's not what's just on the outside of the box, it's what's inside the box. And indeed, if we're talking about the brands trying to influence people to start smoking, which I'm not saying that they are, but if they are trying to do that in terms of teenagers, then what does a teenager do if you tell them you mustn't do something? They're going to do it more.
Oh, so
sure.
I've already tried this idea out on a teenager this evening, my daughter, and she said, that's really stupid, Dad. It just makes you want it more if it's in.
And there you have it. And that's the proof of the whole thing. You see, in the old days, it used to be about changing behaviour with mass advertising. Now it's much more subtle. It's about looking at the psyche of the consumer.
And this is part of a process of sort of ostracising smoking, isn't it? I mean, people smoking in office doorways, putting it under the counter, making it socially unacceptable. That's really quite attractive to some people who want to be...
Socially unacceptable is socially acceptable.
In some quarters.
Yes, but
exactly.
But that is, look, we're living in an era of austerity. We're living in a nanny state where they could see it, the young smoker could see it as that way. So if they're going to see it as an era of austerity and as a nanny state, so what they're going to do is rebel against it and say, gosh, and you're even putting up a blank packet. So, you know, I want to actually have something because I want to have it, because my peer group says that it's cool or whatever it might be, and then take it from that point of view.
There's huge potential for unintended consequences as well, because if you go into a shop and say, I just want a packet of cigarettes, then the shopkeeper might say, well, what do you want? I'll have the cheapest. So you might get a price-cutting war, which might result in more cigarettes being sold. You know, it's quite interesting to see what will happen.
And from the perspective that you guys look at it as, what should we say, professionals in this field, I mean, is this an end to the money that's going to be made out or has been made out of tobacco?
It'll move it elsewhere. I mean, you know, over time, I think this ostracism, you know, smoking is declining. We know it is. And over time, it will decline. But there's still an awful lot of money to be made, as we saw from the clip. And that will just go elsewhere. It'll go into social media. It'll go into word of mouth. It'll go into events and sponsorship. Yeah.
I mean, look, in the old days, people people don't look at leaders as they used to look at leaders, whether it's going to be politicians or whether it's going to be brands or whoever or whatever it's going to be. And so what they're going to do is that they're going to look at a different type of a leader. For example, Kate Moss was in the news this evening, and she was smoking.
Yeah, no, there's a picture on tomorrow morning's front page of the Times. There she is.
And there she is. And there she's got a fag in her between her fingers.
National No Smoking Day.
But don't you understand? That is exactly why it makes it so powerful, because this is the new psychology of advertising. This is where we're going today.
It's an easy piece of rebellion.
Sorry?
It's an easy piece of rebellion.
Absolutely.
It's a way of asserting your individuality, which is outside society, and that's attractive.
The individual it's all about what's inside the package, not just what's outside the package, and that, Jeremy, is very 2011.
I'm not even sure I know what you mean, but it's very 2011, I agree.
Fantastic.
Great. Okay, thank you both very much indeed.